Right from childhood, our parents and family members have taught us some basic tenets of life that can guide us and help us make the right decisions. These basic tenets or sanskars teach us how to differentiate the right from the wrong, tell us how to treat our friends, family, and all others that we meet during our life, and guide us when we need help. Basically, our sanskars help us become good human beings. Similarly, to become a good investor, you need some basic investing tenets or Nivesh Sanskar. What better way to do this than to learn from our favorite childhood stories? In this new podcast series, Edelweiss Mutual Fund, in collaboration with Vinayak Sapre, brings to you Nivesh Sanskar that can be learnt from the stories that you have grown up hearing.
So, before we really get into how to become a good investor, we must first ask ourselves why we need to invest.
As far as I know, Vinayak sir, one of the main reasons to invest is inflation. But I have never really understood why.
Well, Neha, it's time to change that. आइए जानते हैं अकबर बीरबल की कहानी से कि इन्वेस्टमेंट करने की आखिर जरूरत क्यों है। इस कहानी का नाम है महंगाई डायन खाए जात है। One day, Emperor Akbar was walking in his garden. Just then Birbal came to meet him. Seeing Birbal, he said, "See how lazy that servant is. I have been watching him and he is just sitting under that tree resting. I will throw him out."
I know what Birbal said. He told him, "No, Your Majesty, I can make him the most hard-working servant in a few minutes. Allow me."
That's absolutely right, Neha. Birbal offered to make the servant hardworking, and Akbar was more than willing to see what the wise Birbal had up his sleeve. Birbal simply walked up to where the servant was resting, and then an interesting thing happened. The servant suddenly got up and started watering the flowers in the garden. From then onwards, whenever Akbar saw him, the servant would be working really hard.
Akbar was quite surprised. He asked Birbal, "What did you say to the servant? He has become so good."
Birbal smiled and said, "Your Majesty, as I passed the resting servant that day, I said aloud that you had asked me to promote the hardworking servants to the position of guards. I also said that I have appointed some of the servants as my spies and asked them to tell me about those who are good and those who are not. Fearing that the other servants are spies, this one started working hard."
Akbar marveled at the simplicity and effectiveness of Birbal's plan.
The moral of the story is that working hard is important. Further, it is also important to make your money work hard for you.
That's right, Vinayak sir. But what does this really mean for an investor?
Well, as you know, there are many people who keep huge sums of money idle or invest in traditional instruments that hardly generate any returns. However, while the money is generating little to no returns, the rate of inflation is rising. Before moving on, let's first understand inflation. ये है क्या भला? Inflation is nothing but महंगाई, that is, an increase in prices. For example, the cost of education today is higher than the cost of education 10 years back. Why just education? Most things, ranging from your toothbrush to a car, are costlier today than they were 10 to 15 years back. This increase in prices is referred to as inflation. Now, if you really want to beat the inflation, you need to make sure that your money grows at a rate that is higher than the rate of inflation. You can only do this if you make your money work for you by investing it in the right instruments.
And You know what could be a good investment instrument for your investments? It is mutual funds. These are basically investment vehicles that pool investor money and then invest it in various equity and debt instruments as per the objective of the mutual fund scheme.
Correct, Neha. While all mutual funds might not help you beat inflation, there are certain categories like equity funds and balanced advantage funds that might help you potentially generate inflation beating returns. And the best part is that you can make your money work for you slowly by investing in mutual funds through systematic investment plan, जिसको हम SIP भी कहते हैं. Steadily and in a disciplined manner. You can invest a fixed amount of money in a mutual fund scheme of your choice and at time intervals that suits you best. Most importantly, you can start an SIP with as low as rupees 500.
That sounds good, sir. Now, I can easily put my money to work for me by investing it in the right instruments. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. You can listen to more such interesting podcasts on our Konnect Podcasts. These are available on Edelweiss Mutual Fund website, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast for you to listen, learn, and enjoy as per your convenience. An investor education and awareness initiative of Edelweiss Mutual Fund. All mutual fund investors have to go through a one-time KYC process. Investors should deal only with registered mutual funds. For more info on KYC, RMF, and procedure to lodge or redress any complaints, please visit our website www.edelweissmf.com.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.